Hey, welcome to the Cory Morgan Show. This week after the federal election, the $600 million stalemate, spending a month stressing out the nation, spending money. I mean, the $600 million was just the tax dollars expended. Donors and time and energy resources were all poured into this, and we're all right back where we started. What a catastrophic waste of time. But we've been discussing that election a whole lot. I'm going to move on from that federal election. There was lots on the pipeline. You can review that. And we had a great show on Monday night covering it live from the Western Standard studio. Some fantastic viewership numbers and interaction, some great guests. And we got to move on to the rest of the politics that are still developing. This is turning into like the political fall of a lifetime for people like me who thrive on it. It's fantastic. For normal people who are sane, it's a nightmare, but you got to live with it either way. Some people who are living with what we're doing too are Western Standard members. I do want to reach out, thank them. Such loyal subscribers, people who've been following us. Alternative media is the new thing. It's what's coming. We're not beholden to the government. We're not beholden to any tax dollars. They're not offering us any, and we're not asking for any. But we do rely on subscribers. That's really what helps us make these productions reach out there, get those guests that the mainstream media won't cover those issues that the mainstream media won't cover. So if you haven't subscribed already, make sure to go to the westernstandardonline.com/membership. Take out a membership. It's a free trial for a month. This costs you less than an old newspaper subscription used to when you get that paper thing dropped on your doorstep. We've got exclusives. We've got live coverage of events. We've got columns, stories. Check it out. You'll find it well worth your while, and you're going to maintain that membership after that trial period. I'm confident of it. $10 a month. I think it's like $100 if you take out a whole year. So thank you for those who've already subscribed, and to those who haven't, honestly, try it out. I think you're going to like what you get for your dollars on that, and it helps support us. And that brings in our other sponsors as well and such. So now moving on further with the coverage. One of the things that has been forgotten in this whole federal election thing, well, we've got the provincial politics that are a hornet's nest. Jason Kenney is, as we're recording this, fighting for his political life behind closed doors with his caucus. The only really thing now at this point is, when is Jason Kenney finally going to pack it in? How many more pieces can they cut off of him? How many more knives coming at him? It's got to be exhausting. It's got to be dejecting. But he's also a very stubborn man, and he's put a lot into this. There's almost, perhaps that feeling of ownership. I mean, he was the guy who came back from his federal position. He did manage to win 2 leadership races. He managed to merge those parties. He managed to bring the new merged party into the election and unseat Rachel Notley, and now it's all falling apart. I can't imagine how that feels. But the reality is he's lost general support, and I just can't see how he can hang on much longer. So sometime within this next couple of weeks, we're just going to see this hornet's nest continue to swirl. Caucus members like Leela here out and calling for Jason Kenney's resignation out in the open. Richard Gottfried being borderline on that. There's been a number of other caucus members who have been antsy over time, and I just can't see them holding their tongues much longer, especially when they're at risk of losing their own seats. On top of all of that, we have, and nobody's talking about it because we've almost forgotten about it, a municipal election going on. All of Alberta is going to be electing their mayors, their reeves, their councillors, their school board members. Plus, we've got a number of referenda questions, one of which, the more boring of which, but I really hope goes through, is the time change. We're going to stick to one bloody time for an entire year at a time. What a crazy concept. Saskatchewan did it. The world didn't end. Really shouldn't even have to go to a referendum in my view, but whatever. Make your mark on that. We're talking about equalization too. Maybe, it's one of the problems of the equalization referenda that's been going on, is people saying, well, they're going to use it as a referenda on Kenney. Well, I think there's a pretty good chance that Premier Kenney might not be in that role by the time that voting day comes along. So we can make our statement on the equalization. We can vote to tell Ottawa to stuff their equalization. Probably won't achieve anything, but we'll feel better about it, and we'll certainly express ourselves and show us where we're going with that. It's a democratic exercise. It's a big poll. You're going there anyways. Cast that ballot. Do that. The other thing that's happening, one of these Alberta traditions, is a Senate election. We are going to actually put forth a bunch of names, give Albertans the chance to vote on them, choose them. Unfortunately, it's only federal parties that are allowed to run, and a couple of independents. Again, a sign of, in my view, this is part of, I'll tie this together, where Jason Kenney started to lose that grassroots support, where he dangled direct democracy carrots in front of us and democratic reform carrots in front of us, and then turned around and gave us a turd. I mean, the citizens-initiated referenda legislation, he set that bar so impossibly high he knew damn well it's never actually going to be utilized. That's just an insult to people who actually support that kind of legislation. Same with recall. It wasn't real. It wasn't something that he wanted to be achievable. He just wanted to get those votes. And yeah, that ticks me off as a former supporter because I believed him when it was coming along. And now the Senate race, which we've held a number of times. Some senators have been appointed, Burt Brown and like elected senators, Stan Waters way back in the day. We do get some in. It's an important tradition. It's something we hold in Alberta to show that, say, we want this system reformed. Well, the UCP sets the stage, though, as the provincial government for the Senate requirements. And what they did for the first time is made it that you had to be aligned with a federal party in order to run. Well, or at least you couldn't do it through a provincial party. You can run as an independent, too, which just means that you can't raise funds and gain any profile and won't win. So he stacked the deck and, again, made a sham out of a democratic process that we've been trying to at least force along through within Canada. And that way, of course, it looked like there was going to be a slate of nothing but Conservative Party Canada candidates running in it. And it looks like there's a couple of good ones. And I still like the exercise. But come on, we need a race. We need to make it competitive. Well, to their credit, Maxime Bernier and the People's Party of Canada are fielding 3 candidates in this Senate election. So we have a chance to make a statement. I think to say that we want to send somebody different to Ottawa. These guys, this time it's different than the federal race. There's no vote splitting to think about, not even to worry about, because the Liberals and the NDP don't even put candidates into these races. So the campaign goes on. For those of us exhausted with politics, well, I know it'll be frustrating, but it's another mark on the ballot for you to make. And it'll be an important one, even if it's just one of principle. We'll see. Some of these senators do end up in office. Something that'll be really fun is if a PPC candidate becomes one of the elected senators and 2 years from now, say, we managed to get a Conservative Party of Canada government in, oh, won't it be fun watching that Conservative Prime Minister squirm and try and make their excuses as to why they won't appoint a PPC winner of an Alberta Senate election. Either way, the 3 candidates for the PPC who are running in the Senate election have come on, and I had a great chat with them on how their campaign is kicking off and how it's going. I'm joined today with 2 out of 3 of the PPC candidates who have jumped right out of a federal campaign for the general election, and now they've put their names forward in the Senate campaign that's going to be held on October 20th in Alberta in conjunction with the municipal elections. We've got a long tradition of holding Senate elections, a short tradition of them actually getting appointed into their senatorial seats, but it does happen occasionally. Most of it tends to be, though, a fight on a point of principle, but these guys apparently are pretty tireless and ready to take that fight out to another campaign yet again. So maybe, I'll mention Ann McCormack is running up in Fort McMurray. She had an impressive showing with the PPC up there in the federal run, and it's good to see the regional spread because senators are supposed to be covering a number of areas within Alberta. We have Kelly Lorencz. He's running in Red Deer, which, right smack in the center of Alberta, at least population-wise, and Nadine, who's from Banff Airdrie. So we've got a good variety of people covering Alberta in this Senate race. I'm going to start with you, though, Kelly. What are you hoping, then? The big, broad question. What are you looking to accomplish in this run?
Well, Albertans expressed themselves very, very clearly with the Fair Deal panels with Jason Kenney that were spread out through Alberta. And really, it's about bringing a voice to the Senate for the people of Alberta and standing up for Albertans and what their interests are and helping that move forward.
Great. So the platform, I imagine, is going to be a little bit different. I mean, you guys are kind of doing a pivot. It's still the same issues to a degree, but what are you going to be focusing on? What are you going to be reaching out to Albertans with in this race? Like, what's differentiating you versus the Conservative candidates you'll be competing with?
You know what? I don't think that there's a whole lot of difference with the campaign right now. What we'll be focusing on, again, is what's important to Albertans, and that includes the mandatory vaccinations. That includes the vaccine passports, pipelines, getting Alberta's industry, or oil and gas to Tidewater. All of these issues that we need to bring forward and start addressing, and holding the Trudeau government accountable.
Yeah, well, those issues don't go away, and they certainly do cross from the the federal Parliament to the Senate. Nadine, I'll switch to you. Let's flip the clock ahead, though. Say you and another compatriot got into the Senate. The two of you are in there. You're a minority within the Senate, though. What are you going to be pushing for first thing after your appointment?
I think the important thing here is that Alberta has a voice. And one of the key things for me when I ran in this election is so many Albertans asked me, Nadine, what happens on September 21st? You know, so we were very realistic. We didn't know whether or not we would win our seats. And they were like, you've got our vote, you've got our support. We believe in the principles. We love the shared values. But what happens on September 21st? How are you going to stay in the fight? So for me, this is my way of assuring Albertans that the People's Party of Canada and myself, we're staying in the fight. And we're going to continue to stand for the principles that we've promoted and stand by the policies and stand by Albertans. So, you know, when I get in to Senate, if that were to happen, nothing really changes. I'm going to be the voice for Albertans. I'm going to be the one fighting for provincial autonomy and making sure that the province has the jurisdiction and the tools and the resources it needs to do what Albertans want. And that's supporting our oil and gas sector. That is supporting smaller government, more fiscal responsibility. So our policies really are not changing. And I think that whether it was a position as a member of parliament or as a position of Senate, I don't really think much is going to change.
Well, and I'm glad you guys have made this a race because something that was done this time around with the Senate election was that they made it a federal party only thing, which really shut out a lot of what would have been other contenders. And I think, in my view, they were trying to set up just a cakewalk for the federal Conservative Party to come in and take those, which isn't a selection at all. In fact, it's something of a joke. So you've got to have some competition or it's a farce. Getting to the nuts and bolts, though, Kelly, with your campaign then. So you guys are pivoting. This is different. You've spent months campaigning in a local riding. Now you guys are looking at a province-wide thing. I mean, you're in different regions, but it's a ballot with a number of names, and you're going to want people all over this province to be putting their mark next to your name and hopefully Ann's name and Nadine's name. So what are your campaign plans in the next coming weeks here?
Well, ideally, Nadine and I have talked about this briefly. We're going to talk with our team here in Alberta. We're going to connect with our team in Ottawa, and we're going to come up with a plan that will allow us to hopefully travel through the province and help each other get that message out and work with each other within those regions as well. This is very much a team effort, and quite honestly, I look forward to doing that with both Nadine and Ann.
Great, and we've heard that your leader Maxime Bernier is going to be coming back out to Alberta. I anticipate there'll be some more rallies. The weather's right for it. Are you going to be touring a bit with him, Nadine? You know, doing those sorts of public events while this is going on? Because it's going to be challenging as the restrictions are really cracking down in Alberta all over again. It's going to be tough to gather people in one spot without having the authorities breaking it up.
Well, as we saw in the federal election, we can handle an outdoor rally, and we are able to rally the people. And, Maxime coming back again is his commitment to Albertans to make sure that Albertans, in particular, their voices are heard. And Max has always propped up his candidates here in Alberta and across the country. And, his support for me in particular in this race, we had some higher profile candidates, parachute their way into Alberta. Again, it's his way of saying, look, you've got good people here in Alberta, and he's going to stand behind us and back us in the promotion of the message. And the message hasn't changed. So, yeah, I think we can rally just as much support with or without restrictions, because I think the reality is people understand what's on the line, and that we're not done. We're not done. We're still in the fight. I got a really great comment this morning from a YouTube who watched one of my videos, and he says, Nadine, keep the stick on the ice. The game's not over.
Yeah, well, it answered a question that a lot of people have been asking. We've been asking in our coverage. The PPC made a mark, but there's no seat. Where are you going forward? This has given a a rallying point for this, at least this next month, to continue campaigning, continue promoting what your vision is as a party and as candidates. So it's kind of in my view, a bit of a lucky opportunity to show continuity from where you'd left off.
Absolutely. And Kelly and I have worked together since 2019. And, if there's been one person, candidate in particular, who's, been my support and my pillar, it's been Kelly. And, I think I've always been there for him too. So, it's exciting to be able to do this together this time, truly go across the country. I mean, it's 2 names on the ballot, and that's for Albertans to decide which one that they feel, best resonates with them. But the message is there's a lot of similarities. I have different strengths. Kelly has different strengths, and people will have some choice. But the People's Party of Canada, I mean, this is how we work together. I think we have one of the best teams and the best team spirit of any party, available today.
Yeah, well, and something with Senate is you're selling the individual a lot more than the party in some senses. The party gives a basis, but again, due to our crazed system, we appoint our senators for life. So, you really want to scrutinize the individual who's going in there carefully. So, people are going to want to get to know Nadine Wellwood and Kelly Lorencz and in order to know, is this person selecting somebody I'm going to want to be in there for a period of time? So you're going to have to change a little bit of your campaign approach and be a little more self-centered rather than party-centered, I guess you could say.
Well, you know what, Cory, sorry, Nadine, but that's exactly what is so great about the People's Party of Canada. I mean, individual freedom, personal responsibility, fairness, and respect. Those are things that are the 4 pillars of the People's Party of Canada, and I believe that those are values that Albertans share, and they want to move that forward. Right now, what's interesting about this race is that it has nothing to do with vote splitting. It has nothing to do with trying to get Trudeau out or whatever the excuses might be. Now this is about, the representation. Who's going to represent you best, and do their values meet up with yours? And I believe Albertans will speak loud and clear when it comes to this vote.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because, of course, and I don't want to delve too far into that whole vote splitting discussion and what's going on. And the bottom line is, it's not a consideration in this race, so people can fully vote with their conscience and what they feel better, whether it's the federal conservative view or the PPC or anybody else who might enter this Senate race before it wraps up. So where, I guess with each of you, I'll start with Kelly. Can we find more information about your campaign, keep track of what you're doing, where you're going, and what you're up to?
Yeah, right now, the website that we're using is kellylorenz2021.ca. We'll be changing that to kellyforalberta.com coming up here, but they will link to each other, and definitely watch for reports coming out of our headquarters, coming out of my website, from my team, from Nadine's team. We'll be getting out as much information as to where we're at and how to come and meet us and talk with us, and I encourage everybody to come out and share in this process.
Great. And Nadine, where can everybody find you? You're usually pretty easy to find out there, but all the same, there'll be a few new viewers who might want to look you up there.
Yeah, so I'm going to keep things consistent with the election campaign, NadineWellwood.ca, and obviously we'll amend that for the Senate race. But I mean, as you pointed out, Cory, this one is a little bit more about who we are as individuals as well as the party. And I think with my YouTube channel, my social media, I think that really is the best way for people to get to know who I am, what I stand for, what I believe, and the fact that, I walk my talk. And you know what, that's the one curse and blessing with social media. Once you say it, you can't take it back. So, I've got 2-3 years of history on social media, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and my website. And I want to leave all of it there for people to see so that they can make their own decisions, and it's an informed decision. It's not just, me saying something that, today, that it's been consistent for the last 3 years. I've been here fighting for Albertans, and I'm staying in this fight. I'm not going anywhere. And, go back, look, listen, and ask your questions. You know, one thing that for me has been really important this election is every person who's asked a question, whether they agreed with me or not, I've always responded. So NadineWellwood.ca is a great place to go. Be patient with us. We'll update some of the information here over the next few days, but that'll take you to every other social media platform that I have available as well.
Great. And I imagine Ann has a website for her campaign as well, and people will be able to go to the People's Party of Canada website to just kind of find all three of you and track the campaign as it rolls.
That's right. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining me, guys. We'll be watching with very great interest as this campaign unfolds during these crazy political times, and I'm certain we'll all be talking again soon.
I look forward to it, Cory. Thank you.
Thank you, Cory.
Great. Thanks, guys.